quadratic formulas are extremely useful when you don't have something that is easy to factor or is easy to utilize completing the square. And example 1 is one such quadratic. Example 1 says solve 3x squared plus 1x minus 1. Okay? Now, the 3 is in what's known as the A position. This invisible 1 is in the B position. This negative 1 is in the C position. Okay? So all you got to do is plug in the numbers wherever they fit in this formula. I literally would write this on the top of every page before I would do the assignments so that I would have it to refer back to. Okay? So the value for x is equal to the opposite of b. Okay? The opposite of b, so the opposite of 1. Negative 1 plus or minus the square root of, what's b squared? What's 1 squared? 1. Minus 4 times a is 3, c is negative 1, divided by 2 multiplied by a. Okay? You guys see how I just plugged all that in? This usually takes a lot of paper. If you can do all this arithmetic in your head, bravo. I always find it handier to write it out. Okay? Under the radical, 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. A negative 3 times a negative 4 is a positive 12. Okay? A positive 12 combined with a 1 gives me a radical 13 here. Okay? I just combined all of that. Divided by 6. Okay? What does that mean? That means the answer is x is equal to, and you can't simplify this 13. If this 13 were a 4, then you would pull out the 2. Okay? But since it's not, you can't reduce the 1 and the 6. You are stuck with negative 1 plus radical 13 over 6 and negative 1 minus radical 13 over 6. Okay? Now, in the back of the book, it usually will just say this. Okay? That's what it should say when you guys go to look up your odds. That's what it says in my answer key anyway. But just recognize that this is, of course, correct if you break it up into the plus and the minus. Okay? This mapping, just recognize what A is, what B is, what C is. Plug the values into that quadratic and go from there. Okay? Moving on. Example 2. This one is no different. Only example 2 is not written in a pretty quadratic form. We're going to have to manipulate it a little bit to zero it out. We're on the top of page 312. Okay? In order to zero it out, I'm going to subtract 6y and I'm going to add 3. So on the left, I have a 0. And on the right, I now have a nice pretty quadratic ready to be plugged in to the formula. Okay? A, negative 6 is B, negative 3 is C. Okay? So, the opposite of B, so the opposite of negative 6 is positive 6. Plus or minus. The square root of what's B squared? 36. Minus 4 multiplied by A, which is 5. Multiplied by C, which is negative 3. All of that divided by 2 multiplied by A, which is 5. Okay? So far so good? Everything plugged in properly, I hope? Okay. Let's figure out what's under the radical. 6 plus or minus. 5 times 3 is 15. Oh, let's do it this way. 4 times 5 is negative 20. Negative 20. Negative 20 times negative 3 is positive. Wait. I lost my place. Woo! Negative 20.
It has to be close to 3.
Okay, I didn't fill in the right thing. 4 times A times C. It should be a positive because I added it. Thank you. 15. So 4 times 3 is 12. Negative 12 times positive 5 is negative 60. Okay, so negative 60 combined with a positive 36 is negative 24. Okay, that's what I have right now. This times this is a 10. Okay, thank you. 3. All right. So, move my thing real quick. Next step, can we pull anything out of here?
Yes.
We can pull I and 2. Okay, so now I have 6 plus or minus 2I and 6. All of that is still over 10. Okay, you might say, well, wait a minute, can't we reduce the 6 with the 10 and the 2 with the 10? Absolutely. So 6 and 10, reducing by 3, becomes 3/5. 2 and 10 becomes 1/5. So it's basically the same denominator, so you can write it all over 5. Okay, you guys see how I'm just going to write it all over the 5? Okay? Plus or minus I6. Okay? So you could have done 3/5 plus or minus I radical 6 over 5, but since the 3 and the I6 are both sharing the same denominator, you can combine them and put them both over the denominator of 5. So the answer cannot be simplified any further. 3 plus or minus I6 over 5. Okay? That's your answer. 3 plus or minus I6 over 5. It does not have to only be integers. They write that at the bottom of the page. You can still do this with fractions. You can still do this with decimals. It's ugly, but if you have a calculator, it's quite handy. Okay? All right. We're going to do just a couple more examples real quick, and then I'll let you guys go. I'll let you guys get to work. I am doing example 3 with you on Monday. Okay, so we're stopping right there. I only have you guys going up to 1 through 27, so you're not doing the word problems till next week. All right, just a couple more examples. Okay, just a couple more examples. Okay, couple more examples real quick. So this is another one. X squared plus 6x equals negative 2. First step, zero it out. Yes, sir. Oh, you didn't need me. Plus 6x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, I said I added my 2. Okay. The 1 is the A value, the positive 6 is the B, the positive 2 is the C. Start plugging in. The opposite of B, negative 6, plus or minus the square root of 6 squared minus 4 times A times C. All of that is over 2A, 2 times 1, which is 2. Okay, that one's nice and easy. 36 minus 8 is what is under the radical. 36 minus 8 So that looks like radical 28. If I did my arithmetic right. If I did my arithmetic correctly, should have radical 28. Negative 6 plus or minus. All of that over 2. That can be factored into 4 and 7. The 4 comes out as a 2, 7 stays underneath. Negative 6 plus or minus 2 radical 7 over 2. Okay? Clearly, the 6 and the 2 reduces, as does the 2 and the 2. Leaving us with negative 3 plus or minus radical 7. Okay? This and this became a negative 3. This and this became a 1. And since they both reduced, resulting in a 1 in the denominator, you can write it just like that. Right? How you guys feeling about this so far? Do you guys want to try them, or do you want me to do one more example? It's really just plugging in. Okay. If you get stuck on something, let me know. First, the odds are in the back of your book. Plan on using like 3 sheets of paper. I know I did.